Oh, yeah. You know what sound that is? Live, back in action, attacking your speakers from the field to the bleachers. This is the Power 32 podcast, baby. It is the hour of power, ready to rock and roll NFL as we got games going on right now. Baltimore beating up on the Indianapolis Colts. That's another thing. Mr. Primetime, David Dale, 313, my co-host in the house as always. What's up, partner?
What up, dog? How you doing? How you doing?
All good, baby. All good. And even better, because today we are starting our divisional breakdowns, and we started off with a freaking banger, baby. We got the AFC and NFC East, and here to help us break down the NFC East is the host of GetThe Real Deal and proud Philadelphia Eagles fan, Courtney Harden, baby. What's up?
What up? What up? Thanks for inviting me. And yes, the Super Bowl defending champions, Philadelphia Eagles. but I appreciate the invite, man. You know how we get down. I'm glad that to be on with both of you guys and talk some football, man. This is the best time of the year. This is the best time of sports here. So I'm very, very excited.
It is, right, man. We really appreciate having you on, man. This is a treat for us. Hopefully it'll be a treat for the people listening and watching. And I was told off the air right off the bat that you and I are kind of enemies right off the bat, because you are a diehard born and bred Philadelphia Eagles fan, and yes. I am a New York Giants fan, unfortunately. Our best years are behind us. Our best quarterback is probably in Indianapolis right now. But I'm looking forward for the breakdowns, and as we got Simon checking in right off the bat. What's up, Simon? How you doing?
Yes.
What up, Simon? Good to see you, brother. Oh man, and that's the thing. All three of us, like me and Courtney, got beef, but we love each other. Like, we got beef in two ways. We've been in a fantasy football league now going on, year 4, I think it is?
4 or 5, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, Courtney's always around, man. He's always in the playoffs, killing people, doing his thing, man. He's always at the top of the leaderboard. He took me down in the championship. What was that, 3 years ago, I think it was?
3 years, I think 3-4 years ago.
Been
close, man. I've been so close. Like, I didn't win the championship. I think that was the game before the championship when I beat you.
Right, that's when you took me out.
But I'm there. I'm in the championship or get close to the championship, and then for some reason that last week always does me in. I don't know what it is, but that's fantasy football for you, man. You're ups and downs for sure.
It is. That's why it's good to end a little bit earlier. You don't want to go to week 18 or maybe even 17, maybe even shorten the season. I don't know. We'll talk to Damian Adams, our man, about that. Host of the Real Deal Fantasy Football League, getting into that stuff. Can't wait. So we're going on year 4, year 5, or whatever we're on. I can't have time flying by. And me and Mr. Primetime, we got another one going on. We got the Power 32 Podcast League. So a lot of fantasy action coming up.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. I'm looking forward to it. And like I said, we got our podcast league, the Real Deal Podcast League coming up. I think next Sunday, actually, is the draft. So, I'm ready. I'm always ready for fantasy football for sure.
That's right, baby. That's right.
Yeah, this is my first foray back into fantasy football in about the last 7 years or so. So I've been out for a while, but I'm definitely, as you can tell by the well, I would say salt and pepper, but it's mostly salt right now. I've been around. I'm not a noob to football. I'm just kind of getting back into fantasy football thanks to the Sports Prophet. And I'm really looking forward to wreaking some havoc this year in fantasy football. So if I finish in the top 3, for somebody that's been out as long as I've been out, I'll be all right. But as always, you're in it to win it. So,
Courtney, he's going to get that new beginner luck shit. He's going to draft all these guys. Like, what the hell is he doing? Who is he drafting? And all of a sudden, he wins the whole freaking thing.
Right. Yeah. Drafting kickers in the first round.
Kickers in the first round. Right.
For sure.
All right. Well, we're ready to have a lot of fun over here. We're going to rock and roll. Power 32. This is how we do all 32 teams, NFL. But we're concentrating mostly on 8 today. And right now, 4, as Courtney is a pro in the NFC East, as is Mr. Primetime, a Giant fan. So they're going to be going at it a little bit over here. I'll try to keep it civil. I don't know how it's going to go, but we'll see what happens. But we start every show, listen to me, every show with a trivia question, Courtney. So you're in on this one, all right?
Okay.
Here is the question. since the 1970s merger, which the NFL had, since the 1970s merger, which NFL head coach has had the most wins versus the NFC East? And I will give you multiple choice.
Okay.
It's either Andy Reid, Bill Parcells, Joe Gibbs, or Tom Landry.
Oh,
Which
Jesus.
coach has had the most wins versus the NFC East?
That's probably the top 4. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that.
Yeah. Wow.
It's just, let's see.
I figured we were doing the NFC East today, so why not do an NFC East question?
Right.
I mean,
I'm going to
say Landry, Gibbs, Parcells, and who?
Yeah, these guys have been around a long time, man. Long time. Just say it's up to McNiner. What's going on, partner?
What's up, McNiner? How you doing?
Yeah, what's up, man? I'm gonna go. Oh man. Oh geez. I think I'm gonna go Bill Parcells.
It's not an easy question. Bill Parcells. All right, let's see if he's right. Do you agree with him, Prime, or are you going somewhere else?
You know what? Here's the thing, because the Giants, for as much success as they've had, they really don't light up the records every year. You know, they're not a 12-4, 12-5 or whatever team now. They kind of average. They've always hovered right around that 10-11 win mark, and you know, most of the time, you know, if they're lucky to get 9 wins.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go either Landry or you know what? Give me Joe Gibbs.
Joe Gibbs, Bill Parcells, and the correct answer is Andy Reid, believe it or not. Still being around, doing what he did in Philly all those years, and now coaching with Kansas City, playing the NFC East. Yeah, it's Andy Reid with 120 wins. So
they went
not
to
an easy question.
5 straight NFC championship games.
Championships,
That's the Super Bowl.
The only thing I can liken that to in like another sport would be like when the Pistons went to like 6 or 7 straight Eastern Conference Finals back in the Chauncey Billups era. But yeah, I was Andy Reid. You know, they always say follow your first mind, and I'm trying to think back. Yeah, but I didn't think that it was that like the length of time is kind of what threw me off a little bit.
Yeah,
right.
You know, because Joe Gibbs and Parcells were there forever.
Right,
but.
Gibbs there forever. Parcells, Giants, and Dallas. Obviously, he coached both of those teams. So yeah, that's a tough question. I would have guessed honestly Bill Parcells probably, but no, Andy Reid is the answer. How about that? All right, Papa J, what up, man? What's going on?
What up, though? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Thanks for chiming in.
People in the chat, love it. We're going to hold off on the phone lines for a little while because we're talking to Courtney over here, and we got some NFC action. So, Prime, we'll go back and forth on some of these questions. All right.
All right.
First one I got from my man. Well, you know what? I wanted to bring up real quick, just a couple of really quick things.
Yeah.
What a shame what happened today. Rashawn Slater out for the year for the Chargers, man. Best left tackle in the league. They're talking about maybe winning that division going forward in the playoffs with Jim Harbaugh in his second year.
Yep.
Yo, Courtney, that's a killer, bro.
That's a big blow, man. Anything with the offensive line is a blow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And for a team like the LA Chargers, who are trying to take that next step, and when you hear news like that with one of your best offensive linemen, it's like, oh my God, okay, now it's a step back. So I hope that they can still keep it together as a team and be able to win 10, 11 wins. You know, it's going to be tough to be able to outplay and have a better record than the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah. But they had an actual chance, and then but that's a big blow for real.
It is. And Prime knows that I have been bullish on the Chargers, man. I've been talking about them as possible Super Bowl contenders, but without him, one of the best left tackles in the game right now, if not the best. Prime, I don't know, man. This is a big deal. He's out for the whole year.
Here's the thing. If we know one thing about Jim Harbaugh, is that there's a next man up. And of course he's not going to be on the level of Slayton. But we know that Jim Harbaugh keeps the big boys. If anybody in the league is equipped to figure this out, and if anybody in the league is equipped to kind of get over this, it's going to be Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers. You guys Prophet, you know how I feel about every week I say it, my Oregon quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Justin Herbert, this is kind of a blow for the running game, a little, because we know that's what Harbaugh likes to do. But I still am not ready to write the Chargers off as being a contender for that division. I'm going to have to see how it plays out kind of, the first 3-4 games of the season. But Jim Harbaugh is that kind of guy that will definitely be able to have that next man up, and we'll probably end up being pleasantly surprised when it's all said and done. So, Prophet, don't write off the Chargers just yet.
No, I hear you, man. Look, I am with you, and maybe Steve-O disagrees, saying the Chargers were going to stay the same. I don't know. I thought they were taking a step up, but this is definitely a step back. Unfortunate. Damn, what are you going to do? All right, well, we'll see how that progresses forward. Courtney, a couple other things. We're talking NFC East, and you got two big holdouts or hold-ins or whatever you want to call them, and they both want to be traded, and you're probably loving every second of this going on.
Yes.
First, starting with Scary Terry McLaurin, is this more of like a leverage play, as Prime alluded to last week, or do you think, like, all right, I really want out of here, so I can get paid somewhere else and maybe get his last real big contract?
I think it's a leverage play. The success that the Washington Commanders had last season was a surprise. To be this quickly with Jaden Daniels, I mean, I don't know if any of us had them getting to the NFC Championship as a prediction. But when you have that type of success, you got to keep these guys. So they have to pay Terry McLaurin. If not, I mean, that's their deep threat, their best receiver. And you want Jaden Daniels to have as many weapons as he can. Now, they got Deebo Samuel, but, you got to have Scary Terry in there. And I think it's more of a leverage play. I think they will get the job done because if they don't get it done, that's just one less weapon for Jaden Daniels to continue his progression as a quarterback. It wouldn't be good for the Commanders if they don't sign Scary Terry.
No, it would be a nightmare. It'd be scary.
Yeah,
Absolutely
scary.
Right. That'd be
to kind of piggyback off of that, if he's not just their best weapon, he's that comfort zone for Jaden Daniels. And if everybody, if Jaden Daniels and the Commanders are going to take that next step that a lot of people are predicting, you have to have him there. You have to have him there. You have to have him happy. You have to have him in the film room. You got to have him on the field. You got to have him in the meetings. This is Jaden Daniels' comfort. This is his security blanket, for lack of a better term. And if he's not there, this could be very, very detrimental, because if there's one receiver, as I look around the league in my imaginary Rolodex here, if there's one receiver in the league that is of utmost importance to his quarterback and to his team, you talk about an MVP for wide receivers, it would have to be McLaurin for Jaden Daniels right now, especially if they want to continue to move this thing forward.
Yep.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you guys more. Absolutely. Got to get him signed, got to get him in camp. I know that he's about to turn 30, or he is 30 years old right now, something around that. Yeah. And you don't want to pay players in that, but you know what? Give him a 2-3 year deal. Make him happy, give him a lot of money, and then see what happens after that, as wide receivers do tend to tail off. But now I'm going to talk about a 26-year-old kid in Micah Parsons, who may be the best defensive player in the entire NFL and wants to be paid as such. He also threatened to leave. He said he wanted a trade. He even went as far as to say, I don't want to be part of this organization anymore. So that's a lot. That's cutting deep. But again, Courtney, another leverage play over here with him and his agent.
This is the weird one because, with the Cowboys and Jerry Jones, we know how he operates. And when he doesn't, when players say they want to, hold out and things like that, they usually get it done with the Cowboys. But for some reason, this seems more personal between Micah Parsons and Jerry Jones. And Micah Parsons has been the model. I mean, if he's been the model citizen for, like he said himself before this, I want to be a Cowboy for life. I want to be a Cowboy for life. I want to be here. I want to be here. And I tend to believe him when he was doing it. Now, he's a little different because he has his podcast. He's talking and all that. Maybe Jerry Jones doesn't like that compared to like Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb, which they did overpay definitely for Dak Prescott. But they got their contracts. And this goes further back to with Emmitt Smith when he held out before, and Ezekiel Elliott when they did it, So this happens in Dallas all the time, but this one seems a little bit weird. I feel like it is more leverage play, and I don't think they're going to lose Micah Parsons, but they got to be careful because you're trading with, playing with fire in this one, and now Micah Parsons say, okay, this is much deeper than that. So I can see Jerry Jones saying, okay, maybe I'm putting him in a corner. Just pay the man. He's the best player on the Cowboys on whatever defense and all. He's their best player, so they got to pay him.
Yeah,
I agree with that 100%. And here's the thing too. I don't think that Jerry Jones, if you listen to some of the comments over the last week or so, I don't think that Jerry Jones is taking this as seriously as Micah Parsons is. I think Jerry Jones, he's talking about handshake deals and, he has to want to be paid. He has to want to be paid, and making comments like that. That's your most valuable player. If Micah Parsons isn't on that defense, then their defense is no better than, 18th and below in the league. They're not a very good defense without him. So if I'm Jerry Jones, if I'm Stephen Jones, if I'm Schottenheimer, if I'm everybody, I'm sitting this guy in a room and I'm like, what do we got to do to make you happy? He is going to get $26 million this year. But he's looking at the contracts that have been signed with Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, soon to be Trey Hendrickson, other guys that are, and then you got guys like Aiden Hutchinson on the horizon. He's looking to get paid. And the thing I always think is detrimental to Jerry Jones is that he waits so long to sign these players. And by the time he decides to, the market is astronomically farther and above what it would have been had he just signed them, 2 months ago, before Garrett and before Crosby and all these other guys signed their deal. TJ Watt.
Like Dak Prescott. I mean, they gave him, $63 million when the next highest paid quarterback is 55, and then CeeDee Lamb, again, coming in. I do believe a deal will get done. Again, like Courtney alluded to, this is the way that they just operate. Jerry Jones, he loves the spotlight. He wants to keep it on him as long as he possibly can. But I've seen him talking with Micah. I do believe a deal is going to get done. You can't let a guy like that get away. You just can't do it. So,
he's such a difference maker for that team.
Tremendous.
And as Primetime said, it's just you gotta pay him, because if you don't and you just let him, I don't think he's definitely not going to sit out. But if you don't pay him, he's unhappy, and they're talking. And then now you're talking franchise tagging him for so much money. You got to give him a long-term deal. If you franchise tag him, it's going to be a Kirk Cousins situation. You're going to be paying him all this money for 2-3 years each and every year.
You could have just signed him to a contract.
The big.
But here, let's play a little tinfoil hat here. What if Jerry Jones just say, "Hey, Micah, just keep us in the news. Keep us in the news. Keep us on." They probably already got a deal done or something. Drafted up already. And Jerry Jones like, just keep us in the news. Just keep us in the news till the season starts. I wouldn't put that past him at all.
But the one crazy thing about that is that apparently they're not talking to his representation, his agent. It's all been about between Jerry and Micah, and only God knows what he's saying. He's probably saying, "Micah, don't worry about nothing. We're going to get you signed. You're going to be a Dallas Cowboy forever. We're going to pay you the most money any non-quarterback has ever made." I'm sure he's saying all that stuff. And you know what? It's probably going to end up true. It's a matter of when it happens, though.
Yes.
All right. So Cowboys, Commanders, two of the teams we are going to be talking about as we tackle the NFC East right now. And we got to start with your Eagles, defending champs. All right. So they had a couple of losses like Josh Sweat, Milton Williams. How much does that bother you with a very young secondary, a team that is a good passing team? They don't throw the ball all over the place, but obviously you got maybe the best weapon in football in Saquon Barkley. So are you feeling that Philly is still the team to beat in the NFC?
You're welcome, by the way.
Well, thank you for Saquon for sure. I'm sure as a Giants fan that I've been sticking to the Giants fans all year last year, but I'm sure him running at such a record over 2,000 yards and then winning the Super Bowl had to really put salt in the wound for sure. But going back to the Eagles, yes, I do feel like they're still the team to beat, especially in the NFC. Yeah, there were some big losses on the defensive side, but they brought everybody back on the offense. And for the passing game, it's interesting because this is always a topic. I believe in Jalen Hurts, and he's a leader. He wins. He plays big in big games. I just always say, what else does he have to do? He won the Super Bowl MVP, and he should have been the MVP a couple years ago in the other Super Bowl that they lost to Kansas City, because they should have won that. But that was on the defense for the most part. But they got Vic Fangio. He's going to got a lot of guys that are that's coming up that got experience in this defense as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing to see what the Eagles are going to be able to do this season. But I really believe they're still the best team, and they're the team to beat, especially in the NFC.
Prime, I would have to agree with the man. I mean, they didn't lose much. Those two big guys on the defensive line, but Vic Fangio, a mastermind on defense. Yes. I feel that he'll get the job done. No doubt about it. And then again, you don't have to throw the ball all over the Arwin. Saquon Barkley can run the ball for, I don't know, let's say he can go for 14, 15, 1,600 yards this year. 2,000 is very hard to do in back-to-back years. Obviously, it's hard to do overall. But, Prime, I have to agree with him. With the questions in Detroit right now, Minnesota's got a rookie quarterback. Not sure you could trust Jordan Love. Jaden Daniels and the Redskins, they got a little in-house problems right now. Matthew Stafford's got a back issue. We're not sure if the 49ers are going to bounce back. Tampa Bay may be a sneaky team. Now, I'm naming all these teams, but still, I think Philadelphia is better than all of them.
Well, and I've gone on record to say numerous times, and I probably get to it at least once a week, the Philadelphia Eagles have the best roster in football, top to bottom.
They do.
Yeah, I'm not going to back off of that.
And you know what? Maybe best management in football.
Yeah. Yes. They're just Howie Roseman and Andy, Sirianni and the whole crew there, man. They take a step back. You lose two coordinators, and then within a year or two, you're winning a Super Bowl. So it's, that's kind of what the Lions are hoping for, that type of lightning in a bottle. But I have the utmost respect for the Philadelphia Eagles. I do think they'll be the first repeat team, first team to repeat as division champs in 21 years in that division.
Yeah.
There's really and you mentioned all the question marks. You know how high I am on the Bears roster, although some of the reports on Caleb Williams right now aren't all that encouraging. But when I look at the Eagles,
biggest support is on Caleb Williams. His fingernails are painted turquoise.
Yeah. And when I look at all the other question marks, Matthew Stafford, that was my pick for the NFC West. When I look at that, I look at the question marks with the Lions. I look at all the other teams that have all these other question marks, and yet the Philadelphia Eagles right there, solid as a rock. And I put the question to the chat, do you think the Eagles can repeat? If anybody has a shot to repeat, a legitimate, realistic shot to repeat as Super Bowl champions, it is the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah. And they put they put all the pieces together. You talk about Howie Roseman in that front office, and we was just talking about Jerry Jones and their front office. Howie Roseman makes those hard decisions to let guys go because he already knew, okay, I put all my chips in that last couple seasons. We got a Super Bowl, and we've been to 2 in the last 3 years. We have to be able to have other players that can just step right in. We're going to lose guys. And unlike I said, they get those guys paid. They paid Jalen Hurts. They paid A.J. Brown. They re-signed A.J. Brown. They did all those things. And they're able to know, okay, this guy is falling off the cliff. We let him go. So we'll see what happens. But I really feel like the Eagles are they have all the pieces in place to repeat.
Yeah, they really do. They could be that first repeat champion in over 20 years, like Prime Time alluded to, man.
Yeah.
Prime, go ahead. I know you got a couple of questions. Go.
So when you're looking at the Eagles, the way that they do things in comparison to how the other teams in let's just say the NFC, or no, let's take the whole league, because there's another team in the state of Ohio that could take a page from Howie Roseman. You talk about making the hard decisions. Yeah. Do you think that where would you rate Howie Roseman's ability to manipulate the salary cap? It's almost kind of like what Brad Holmes and those guys did with the Rams, where they were like, F them picks. You got the salary cap increasing every year.
Yep.
So I know Roseman and those guys are always on top of that. But how would you rate, being right there in the mix with the Eagles? How do you rate Howie Roseman and the front office's ability in Philadelphia to be able to manipulate the salary cap, make those hard decisions, and still be able to keep a functioning, a contending team year after year?
I rate them very high, very, very high, because they know, like you said, they know when to re-sign players and not to overpay. Now, he hasn't been always, on point, but as they say here in Philly, Howie we trust. And that is a true statement, because he knows, like I said, he knows when to, okay, we can sign this guy, we can trade for this guy, we can pick, we have so many picks, we can get all these draft picks, we can trade these draft picks. They maneuver so much. And I've said this for years, if I'm a GM and Howie calls me I'm not picking up the phone. I'm just not gonna do it because he has that type of guy. Yeah, you're gonna get fleeced and then you see it every year that in the draft, and it's like, wow, how did the Eagles get this player? How did they get all these players? And I would not pick that up. I rate him very, very high. He definitely knows how to manipulate the cap and everything too. He's a mastermind. He's definitely up there, way high up there.
Yeah, and able to find talent elsewhere where a guy like Zach Bourne lost in New Orleans,
right,
and becomes all of a sudden a defensive MVP candidate. I mean, unbelievable.
Getting AJ Brown in the draft, like I didn't see that, like the trade and that trade, and it's turned out great, and he just knows how to. You said manipulate whatever it is. He just knows how to get the job done, and he has the utmost respect from a lot of Eagles fans.
So I have to ask you this as an Eagles fan. So a couple years ago, when they were calling for Sirianni's head, where did you stand on that? Were you one of the guys in the camp of, hey, let's pump the brakes, give when they had that 6-game losing streak or whatever at the end of the season? Were you of the camp that, hey, let's pump the brakes and give this guy a shot, or were you ready to just kind of throw him to the dogs?
I was one of those ones that pumped the brakes because the guy, yes, he breeds Philly. He does. He's one of those toughest nails coaches. But I was one of those guys that said, okay, give him a chance. Let's see what happens. There was just something very odd about that season. Locker room issues, things that were just going on. But I definitely wasn't one of those guys that wanted him fired. And he rallied the troops last year and really became, like I said, the head coach, because he what he did was he ended up stepping back. Now he's like, okay, I'm giving the coordinators, let them do their jobs, and I can just manage the team. I can just coach the team. And I think he was a little bit too much hands-on when he became too much players coach and that too. But then he just said, okay, I'm gonna step back and I'm just gonna manage the team and my voice will be there. So I do like Nick Sirianni, and I was one of those guys that didn't want to fight. I said, give him another year just to see, because it's like who we're going to get if he fired him.
Exactly.
Bill Belichick wasn't coming there, so it wasn't like who was the option. So that's why I'm glad they kept Nick Sirianni.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, it's a good thing it's working out so far. No doubt about it. Steve-O happens to disagree a little bit. He says he doesn't have him fooled. But the first year, a couple of years ago, 3 years ago now, I guess it is. When the Eagles went to the Super Bowl, lost to the Chiefs. Preseason, I had picked Nick Sirianni to be the coach of the year. Brian Daboll ended up winning it out because they're the Giants and they're that pathetic. But Sirianni ended up really doing a great job and going all the way to the Super Bowl. And now he's got a championship, and he'll probably be there for a long time to come, man. So things still looking really good in Philadelphia. Yeah, really good. But another team that's starting to look really good is the Washington Redskins football team, Commanders, whatever you want to call them now. I think Donald Trump is going to change the name. I mean,
he's trying.
Unbelievable. Jalen Hurts versus Jaden Daniels is going to be a great matchup all year long. When I look at Jaden Daniels, I got to be honest with you, Courtney. I mean, he's a phenomenal football player. No taking away from that. But, I mean, he's as thin as I am. I mean, he can't be any bigger than me. I'm afraid that he's like one hit away from getting thwacked out of the entire season. Nevertheless, he's been playing great ball. As we alluded to earlier, he needs Terry McLaurin there. But overall, let's say Terry's back. The team is intact. They picked up Larry Tunsil, Deebo Samuel, amongst other players. I still have my reservations about them. I don't know if they had an easier schedule last year, call lightning in a bottle, whatever you want to call it, but I don't love Washington this year, and there's a reason why Vegas has them at only 8.5 wins when they won 12 last year. So how do you see Washington, and especially their defense, can they keep up with some of these other high-powered teams? Like we're going to talk about Dallas, who's got a big offense now, and of course Philly.
I do like Washington. I still do. I think, yes, Jaden Daniels, I mean, everything went right for the Commanders last year, and they were able to. Now they have a franchise quarterback, but I just hope it's not a C.J. Stroud type of situation that second year where Houston, they couldn't protect him and he took a step back. Yeah, C.J. Stroud had a big year for the Texans, and now it seems like it's that same thing. But you're right. I think they got to keep Jaden Daniels upright. The offensive line's got to be able to protect, And now that you have film on him, now teams are going to say, okay, second year, we know how to defend Jaden Daniels. But I really feel like Washington is a really, really good team. Like I said, they got to have Scary Terry in that lineup to really be able to contend. But I can still see 11, 12 wins for this team, even though I think their defense is not as good as you said, as the Eagles or anything like that. But they do have a really good roster for sure.
Yeah, I like the fact that I'm not 100% certain on how Von Miller and Bobby Wagner kind of fit into the mix, but if nothing else, you got a couple of veterans. You got Kinlaw, you got Payne, you got some guys there, Will Harris in the secondary. So you got some guys out there that can make some plays. My biggest concern with the Commanders is that outside of the Terry McLaurin thing, who's your other guy? Deebo Samuels, what do you realistically expect from him? And you mentioned Jaden Daniels being a frail kind of guy. Is he just one hit away from being injured? The good thing for him is that he's very elusive. And you mentioned other teams having film on them. All they got to do is kind of go back to that Lions game in the playoffs and just kind of look at that. And I mean, he just ate them up. And the thing that really I'm impressed with the Commanders is that it's the revitalization. If you for Cliff Kingsbury, a lot of people wrote him off. A lot of people, because he didn't succeed in Arizona, people were ready to write him off. I think he found his niche. He's got a good quarterback. He's got a good playmaker. He's got a decent running game. With what do they got there for? They got Brian Robinson Jr., who a lot of people.
And they got Eckler.
Austin Eckler. Mm-hmm. They got a couple other guys there. They got Zach Ertz at tight end. Like you say, they got Coleman and Cosme and guys like that on the offensive line. They got a really, really solid team. But I think this here, my biggest fear, and Prophet and I talked about this last week, is that let's say Washington does win another 10, 11, 12 games, where are they next year? Because now Cliff Kingsbury's phone's going to start ringing.
Yeah.
And I believe 100, 300, 500% in my heart, if his phone starts ringing for a head coaching position, he's gone. And I don't even think that's something he'll have to think about. I think this is a stepping stone for him. And I think that this could be his final year in Washington.
Interesting point. Yeah, you might be right about that. Yeah, that's a good point. You might be right. I mean, the better you do sometimes, and we've seen it. Philadelphia Eagles coordinators going other places, Lions coordinators going other places. That's how it works, man.
And he's not going to sit around like Bieniemy did with Kansas City. He's not going to sit there for 3-4 years after he was the hot name. As soon as somebody, honestly, guys, I don't even think he would care who it is. I think he's going to parlay this into a head coaching job, whether it's Jacksonville or whether they just got a coach. But if they, it could be, Sean McDermott, guys like that on the hot seat as we go. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But there's some high-profile coaches that could be on the hot seat, and Cliff Kingsbury could be one of those guys to swoop right in and get a job.
Yep.
Yeah,
Steve-O, I would love that. I would love for Cliff Kingsbury to end up coaching the Giants. That'd be awesome.
That'd be interesting. Young quarterback. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes over here. But before we get to your team, Prime, we'll go to the Dallas Cowboys now, who, again, we talked about it, making headlines in all the wrong ways of Micah Parsons. But if they do get him in, which we all believe that they will, they should have a formidable defense. Not the greatest in the league, but pretty good. But I think the addition of George Pickens is really going to open up the offense, Courtney. Now you got somebody comparable to CD Lamb, where if you pay too much attention to him, Pickens is going to be one-on-one. He's one of the best 50-50 balls out there. So that's a great thing. So you open up a whole nother side of the field. You get Devontae Turpin, Jake Ferguson over the middle. Their running game is a question mark right now.
Yes.
And they have a new head coach in Brian Schottenheimer, who does have a lot of experience in the league, and his dad Marty coached for, 15 years or whatever it was, the Chargers in Denver or wherever the hell he went. But I'm a little bit more high on Dallas than I am on Washington, because Dak is back and Dak is healthy. And if we remember 2 years ago, Dak was second in the running for MVP. Last year he got hurt and the team obviously collapsed. if that doesn't happen this year, if Dak stays healthy and they predominantly stay healthy, I think Dallas is going to be a real formidable team. How do you see it?
I agree with Steve-O here. He said, "All sounds great, but the QB is still Dak Prescott."
hey, let the media tell it. Joe Milton's been throwing bombs in practice, so they might not be.
Watch out.
There's some competition, and not realistically, but
Right. And there's a couple of question marks with Dak, like you said, with quite a bit of question marks with Dallas. I do like the Pickens pick up for them, but how much focus is, I know he wants a contract, so maybe he will be focused. But Pickens, he he's on an island sometimes. He's out there and he's not getting the ball. He's just he wants to do his TikTok stuff and things like that. He wants to do all that. But maybe going to Dallas to change the scenery would help him. And he said that you can't double CeeDee Lamb now because you have Pickens. Now they have a legit number 2 over there. But I'm a little concerned with that as well. Dak staying healthy, I think that's another question mark. But you said if Dak is healthy, he's not worth $63 million, but he's their best quarterback. He's their guy, and he has put up numbers before. Coaching still is, I think, I read a stat that said Schottenheimer, he's been the offensive coordinator and play caller for a dozen offenses over the years, but with middling results. So can he be that head coach to put him over the top? I'm not sure, but in this division, I do have we ranked them: Philly, Washington, and then Dallas. But yeah, they got to get the Michael Parsons thing. That's the headline right now, and but their running back situation is very questionable too. So Dallas has a lot of question marks, but again, they could be one of those teams that can win 10, 11 games, but then they can also just win 8 games too as well. So I can see them in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, I can see that. And then you look at, I think, Sanders and Jadon Blue. I think those guys are kind of hobbling a little bit. So right now, it pretty much does fall on Javonte Adams to go out there, or Javonte Williams, to go out there and be that guy. I do see, and Courtney, let me know if you agree with this. I see Dallas before the season starts having to go out and get some running back depth. Yeah. I think the deepest position right now for them, I think where they're in good shape, is their tight end position, even though I think Ferguson's hobbled a little bit too. But you got him and Schoonamaker. You got a couple of good tight ends there. Their defense, with Hooker, you got, Diggs and Wilson and guys like that. My thing is, we go back to George Pickens and we talk about the antics. I think he's more apt to go back to his old self and his old antics simply because Schottenheimer's a new coach, and he's probably, he's kind of probably going to be like a little kid. He's probably going to see what he can get away with before he gets the hook. They're not
Let
very.
me put you off, Prime. Like, you don't think that like Dak and guys like that would step in line and be like, "Hey, kid."
Here's the thing: if Mike Tomlin couldn't do it, then I'm not 100% confident that Dak Prescott, even though Dak Prescott will probably have more intimate. I don't mean that in a weird way. He'll have more intimate contact and with George Pickens. So he's probably already got his arm around him saying, look, man, we got something brewing here. We could really make a run here. So let's not screw it up. But, you never know with guys like that. We thought Antonio Brown would go to Tampa Bay and because he was living with Tom Brady and all that sort of thing, that he would go back to his old self from a performance standpoint. It didn't work that way. I don't know what it is with Pittsburgh receivers. There's something in the water. I think it's those dry-ass Primanti Brothers sandwiches that they got there with the French fries and the fake meat and all that stuff that they put in. I don't know, man, but that's probably going to be one of the bigger storylines as we go, out throughout the season. People are going to be keeping an eye on that.
Yeah, and Pickens, if he's motivated, he's playing for a contract, so maybe that, because he's a free agent next season, and having someone like Dak Prescott when he's healthy, he said Dak is still one of the better quarterbacks, top 10 to 15. So I would say, if he's healthy and put up those numbers he did 2 years ago, he's got weapons. He's got weapons on the outside where that could really help. So maybe except Pickens playing with CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott, keep him motivated.
Yeah. That's right. There you go. And I think this is a very motivated team right now. I mean, they haven't been in the NFC Championship longer than any other NFC.
Say it. You said it last week, you son of a gun.
I'm proud to say it. I love it. I hate the damn Cowboys. I hate them.
Yes, me too.
30 years?
Yeah, it's been
close to it.
That is absolutely, and I said it last week. To me, that might be one of the most insane stats in all of sports.
Yeah.
When was the last time Dallas was it? Not Super Bowl. When was the last time the Dallas Cowboys were in the NFC Championship game? That is insane, considering they're supposed to be America's team. Jerry Jones, all the money, the dome open so God can watch them play. All of it. It's absolute. I'm taken aback by that every time I think about that.
Yep.
Well, I'll tell you one team that's looking to get back to the playoffs, and I don't even know if they want to this year, but that's the Giants. But they do have their quarterback in place right now, or at least they hope so, Courtney. So, look, they could be maybe at best, in my mind, a 6 to 7 win team. They got a really rough schedule, I think 3rd overall in the entire league. But what do you expect from the Giants overall? And in particular, when do you think Jackson Dart should get the start, if at all, this season?
Well, this season they do have a competent quarterback, Russell Wilson, starting first. So I still believe in Russ a little. I mean, if you didn't think about it, his season in Pittsburgh wasn't as bad as he started out really, really well, but it just fizzled in the end. But competent QB. But yes, with Jackson Dart now sitting in the wings, I mean, as soon as Russ he struggles those first 4 or 5 weeks, I can see a really quick pull, and then just say, okay, here we go. Especially with Brian Dable saving his job, he's like, oh well, we did draft the young QB, so we might just have to play. But they got Winston. Let me ask you this, Private. Do you think Winston might get cut? Because I mean, if they have Russ, they gotta keep Jackson Dart. Is there room for is there room for him?
I don't think so, because I think for some reason, I don't know what the affinity is with Tommy DeVito. He's a fan favorite for whatever reason. So if I'm the Giants, and they're not going to go into the regular season with 4 quarterbacks, that's really unrealistic. You're taking up a valuable roster spot from somewhere else. I would say if the odd man out would end up being Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston could end up in a place like Indianapolis. He could end up in there's a few places that he could end up. He could end up in L.A. or Vegas with the Raiders. There's a lot of teams out there that don't have depth at their backup quarterback, and there's a team that I'm thinking of right now, and they're from a place where I'm sitting at right now, and their colors are Honolulu blue. And I'm telling you, when I watch Hendon Hooker and these other quarterbacks that the Lions trot out after Jared Goff, I think Jameis Winston would be a perfect fit for the Detroit Lions if and when they decide to cut him. But guys, when I'm looking at the schedule for the New York Giants, it's the first 8 games are Washington, Dallas, Kansas City, the Chargers, the Saints, Philly, Denver, and Philly again. They could very well be 1-7 when that stretch is done. They're not beating Washington. They're not beating Dallas. Kansas City, come on. The Chargers, with or without their best offensive lineman. Then you play Philly twice in the first 8 weeks. You go to Denver. It's like, even with Kansas City at home, I could very well, they could be 1-7. And after that stretch, I think they play San Francisco after that. So by then, we could probably see Russell Wilson by week 7, or not Russell Wilson, I'm sorry, Jackson Dart by week 7 or 8 right now with being the quarterback for the Giants. Their depth chart is a mess. They're not very deep at any position other than wide receiver. They got, Wan'Dale Robinson, Darius Slayton, who I'm still waiting for have that big breakout. It's been 5 years now.
Keep waiting.
Jalen Hyatt, who I thought was going to be good coming out of Tennessee. Theo Johnson and Bellinger at your tight ends. I'm not really sold on that. Their defense.
That nobody knows who the hell you're talking about, right?
I know, but that's I know. But the biggest thing for the Giants is going to be their defense. They drafted Abdul Carter.
They'll be improved.
You got Nunez, Roches, and Harris, and Burns, and Okereke. You really do. You got good linebackers in McFadden, Thibodeau, Okereke. Your secondary with Holland, I think. What's the other guy? Deontay Banks. So we got some good defensive players, but the biggest thing is we're like Pittsburgh. We can't score the football. McNiner, I know who. I'm sorry. I went on a tangent there, but yeah, we're in really bad shape offensively, and the schedule is absolutely brutal. I think it's the third most difficult. Why? I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
but
why is that schedule?
I'm really sad for the New York Giants. Last year I predicted them to win 4 games. This year I'm probably going to do the same thing. If they win 6 games, I will go out and buy me a Tommy DeVito signed jersey, no matter how much it costs.
I don't think the Giants are as bad as advertised right now. And we're hearing from Simon over here. We need another 30 touchdowns.
30-30.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Go steal some crab legs. There you go.
As far as the defense goes, they have a pretty decent defense.
Yeah, they'll be improved there.
They got a really good defense. They got a really
I like
good
Burns.
defense,
I like
especially
Warren.
their front 7, man.
Yeah, Kayvon Thibodeau, no doubt.
Yeah,
So you got good players there. Russell Wilson, as Courtney mentioned, is a formidable quarterback. He didn't do a terrible job last year. They tailed off during the end. They had a harder schedule, but he showed that he was able to play well. So let's say he does, and he's playing well. And you know what? Let Jackson Dart sit the entire season. You got Malik Nabers out there. You got this Tyrone Tracy kid, who is a really good running back that nobody's talking about. The big thing is the protection up front. How are they going to do that? Because their offensive line has been a turnstile all year long. So you need that. You need that athletic ability out of Russell Wilson to be able to break the pocket and make a play downfield.
Let me correct you. Let me correct you there for 1 second, Prophet. Their offensive line has been turnstiles for the last 15 years. This goes back to the start of Eli's career. They haven't had a good offensive line since Phil Simms played.
You're right.
Jeff Hostetler. It has been absolutely atrocious. Everybody from Eric Flowers and all these other guys that they bring in. It's just absolutely horrible. You do at Tyrone Tracy, you got Singleton, and you got that guy, the little fella there. You just want to muss his hair from Arizona State.
Scatterbo.
You got Scatterbo. So that but the problem is, and it's always gonna be, and Dable's got to fix this. I'm sorry, I'm going on a damn tangent, but we got to do something with the offensive line. You gotta do something with the offensive line, because it doesn't matter if you got Winston or Russell or Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes. If you can't protect them and you can't run the football because your offensive line sucks, it doesn't matter who you got back there, quarterback. And with that schedule, the first 7, 8 games, 9 games of the season, that's going to be a tell-all. And do you let Jackson Dart sit? Maybe. But if like Prophet said, if you're really thinking that you're not as bad as it looks on paper, and you decide to roll with Russ all year, do you win 7 games? Your best case scenario for the Giants, no matter how great anybody plays, is a 7-game ceiling for me. That's that's as much as I can give, and that's not my official prediction, by the way. I'm sorry.
Okay. If the Giants happen, you go first. I'll ask after.
No, I was going to say, but again, the Giants, they could improve. Like you said, that is a murderous roll of a schedule. I don't know how they got that schedule, but I'm thinking more of the quarterback. Like you said, if Russell Wilson can play like he's capable of still playing, they could win a few more games than they did last season, because they finally got, as I used to say when teams used to have bad quarterbacks, if you get a decent quarterback, you have a competent QB that is a Super Bowl champion himself, and he's able to. I mean, he's got, like I said, Malik Nabers out there. He's a stud. He's a stud receiver.
I love him.
And now with Russell Wilson, who can throw that deep ball, or Jameis Winston, whoever can throw that deep ball, and they force-fed Nabers, because I had him on my fantasy team. He was just getting targets at target. He was a target monster.
His last game of the season was epic.
Yes. So
I think they got a lot of people some serious fantasy points.
He's going first, second round now.
Yeah, he helped me. I had him in Chase, and so I was just building with those guys. But Nabers, if he got now he was getting all those numbers without great quarterback play. Now that he had some decent quarterback play, which he should have, he could put up huge numbers. So I think the Giants could improve a little bit, but with that schedule, it's gonna be tough.
Well, and here just to round it out: Frisco, Chicago, Green Bay, Detroit, New England, Washington, Minnesota, Vegas, and you end the year at Dallas. I mean, I'm struggling right now to find 5 wins.
5 wins, right?
I really am, but I'm gonna Martin Luther King said, "Keep hope alive."
Yes,
I'm gonna keep hope alive, but it's gonna be very right. You're right, and who knows? The injuries and all that stuff, and the way that they occur in the NFL, fast and furious. Who knows? So the Giants might they're not going to contend for the division. I think we can all agree on that.
No.
Yeah, right.
That's not going to happen. But let's see if they can look. If Jackson Dart does get in there at some point, they're 4-6, not going to the playoffs, and Dable's like, you know what, kid, get in there. Let's see what you got. If they see improvement, then you have a successful year, because nobody thinks they're going to the Super Bowl. Nobody thinks they're going to the playoffs. So you want to see improvement from your rookie quarterback. If you can do that and let him play maybe, 6, 7, or 8 games during the year. Go back to Eli Manning. Kurt Warner was in there. They were 5-4. They yanked him out, put Eli in. Eli stunk up the joint, but we all know what happened later. Won a couple of Super Bowls. I'll give you a
Courtney, in case you don't know, there's been a thing for between Prophet and I for going on 3 years now. Yeah. He absolutely hates Eli. And I'm probably the biggest Eli defender in the world, and he, the whole Hall of Fame debate, this, that, and the other, and he makes it at least once a week, once every 2 weeks. He throws a tag, throws a little shot. That's all right.
Can't help myself, man.
That's all right. Brock Purdy. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Look, you're not going to get an argument at me. I'm not going to start talking about Brock Purdy in a good way. It's not going to happen. No freaking way. Courtney, we know you got to get out of here. You've been here much longer than we expected. We appreciate it.
No, all good, man.
How do you got the division going down from first place to last place? And then I want to hear about what you got going on, your show, everything, all the good stuff.
All right. Well, I got it as same as last year. Eagles, Commanders, Cowboys, Giants. I think the division will be competitive again. I mean, even when the NFC East is always competitive, regardless of teams. The teams are bad, or and injuries and things like that. The NFC East is always competitive, but I think Philly and Washington are the kings of this division. Dallas, if Dak stays healthy, and they'll be a little bit improving. I still feel like the Giants can improve as well, but as you said, with that schedule, it's going to be tough. But I got it the same as last season.
All right. So then Philly finishing on top, and I really can't argue with you, man. I may disagree. I think maybe Dallas sneaks in that second spot. Washington takes a fall back, but I'm sorry, Prime. Your Giants probably going to be in the cellar again, buddy.
Yeah, it's all good. That's all right. We'll bounce back sometime this century, I'm hoping.
Yes, you will. They have championship pedigree. They got championship pedigree. So
the whole division now that the Eagles were the last team. Now we got 2. So
that's right.
So we're part of that conversation. I couldn't talk too much, but now I can talk championships now as a long-time Eagle fan. So yeah, for sure.
What's Nick Foles doing, by the way?
Who knows? Enjoying himself, enjoying life, man. Got that statue.
He'll be able to live off of that Super Bowl for the rest of his life.
Got the statue and the link, so he's good to go.
That's awesome.
He's been at the games. He's been at games lately too, so he's enjoying life, man.
You going to any games this year?
I'm thinking about. I was trying to get to that Dallas game, the opener, but them tickets were a little bit too much. That was like $500, $600 for nosebleeds.
That's what happens when you win a Super Bowl.
Yes, yep. But I'm gonna try to get to a couple games this season for sure.
So put your where's your show? Put your show where can the fans where can everybody find you?
Yes, The Real Deal with Courtney Harden airs. I do it. It seemed like the Saturdays usually, but I seem like I do about 4 or 5 shows a week now.
Oh, wow.
And everything too. Yeah, so I'm pushing as much content as possible, and you can find it on all the podcast platforms: Spotify, Apple, YouTube, BS3 Network. Then we're on Roku. Yeah, so it's I love doing it. I've been doing it for about 11 years now. So just get as many guests as I can, and you can find, like I said, Get the Real Deal on all the platforms.
All right.
Yeah,
man.
make sure follow, subscribe, do all that good stuff. He's worth it. No doubt about it. Genuine, great guy. I mean, I've been on your show a bunch of times. You've been on mine. We've collaborated so many times.
Yes, we did. Yep.
We're going to keep doing it for years to come, my friend. I really appreciate your time tonight.
I appreciate the time too as well. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. And nice to meet you, Prime Time. It was a lot of fun, man, and the banter and all that. Just guys talking football. I love it. We all love it. We all love football and fantasy football, all that. So I really enjoyed this for sure.
All right, man. Thanks for coming on the show, man. Nice
all right, thank you.
The real deal here, baby. No doubt about it. Thanks, Courtney.
All right, I appreciate it. All right, you guys have a good one,
brother.
All right, partner. All right, Courtney. Great job, Courtney Harden of the Real Deal podcast. I mean, he is just fantastic. Great guy all around. Knows his stuff, obviously, Prime. So I had to have him on today to battle with you a little bit.
Hey, I love it, man. I love a little friendly competition there. That's no, you know me. We don't back down from a challenge here on the Power 32.
That's right. No doubt. Hey, so let's keep the party going. We got to do AFC East now, and I know that it's getting a little bit late for some of you people out there, and my man Prime is going to wake up at, like 3 o'clock in the morning?
No, I'm actually off tomorrow.
Oh, look at you. All right, so we got a few extra minutes. Okay, not too bad. All right. Let's go to the AFC East, and let's start with the cream of the crop in that division, the Buffalo Bills. Okay, two-part question for you, bro. Are the Bills capable of winning it all? All right. The big question, though, is what we've seen happen year after year in the playoffs, and usually against Kansas City. Is their defense going to let them down?
No and yes. I don't think here. We talk about it last week and the week before when it comes to Buffalo. First thing they got to do is get James Cook happy. That's the first thing, because going into the season with Ray Davis and I think what's the other guy, Ty Johnson.
Yeah, Ty Johnson.
Darrington Evans and guys like that. That's not going to cut it. Shakir is a little bit banged up right now. You got Keon Coleman. You got some decent receivers. Your tight ends pretty good. You got Dawson Knox and what's the other Kincaid.
Yeah,
but the problem is that your defense, time and time again, and this is what bothers me, and this is what bothered me as a Bills fan, is that Sean McDermott is a defensive coach. Yeah. And every year it seems like they get let down by their defense. They're kind of a lot like Cincinnati. And they constantly get let down by their defense. So I will ask you and I will ask the chat, if they don't make the Super Bowl this year, is this Sean McDermott's last year in Buffalo? Can we realistically, because we talked about Mike Tomlin, we talk about John Harbaugh, and now we're talking about Sean McDermott, 3 very high-profile coaches that haven't got it done. And it's time for is it time for a change in these semi-historic franchises with these legendary coaches? I wouldn't call maybe McDermott legendary, but he's the best coach that Buffalo's had in a while. Could this be his last year? And I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl. And yes, I do think their defense will be the reason.
It can be his last year, because you know what? Something has got to change, and that something is not going to be Josh Allen, okay? He ain't going anywhere. They're not getting rid of that guy for nothing, not for another 10 years if they're lucky. So it is on Sean McDermott now. If he can't get them over the hump, and you know what? They were right there last year in the AFC Championship. Can't blame the game completely on him, but you did give up 32 points to a team that didn't score 30 all year long. Big time problem there. You can't get over the hump. You can't outcoach Andy Reid, and not many people can. That's fine. No. But you know what? Something has got to change. Who else is out there? I'm not sure. You mentioned Cliff Kingsbury. I mean, he could probably do a lot of wonders for that offense and find a good defensive coordinator. I mean, they're out there. Vance Joseph may be a guy who's available next year, doing a great job in Denver. Guys like that. And again, if you guys do want to call in and get on this, we're doing the AFC East right now, 516-205-7574. I'll leave the phone line open for a little while. But, they've been talking about this now with McDermott for the last couple of years. And he bought himself a little bit of extra time, a little bit extra leeway going to that AFC Championship last year and only losing by 3 and being an inch short of getting that first down and maybe continuing and going on and winning the game. But no, to answer your question, bro, yeah, he is on the hot seat, no doubt about it.
And why does it seem like people are afraid of? Here's my whole thing. When you're in a position like that, you need to go out there and make moves and do whatever you got to do to make sure that you're going to be, a contender, or if not, the contender to be able to overthrow Kansas City. Mm-hmm. Right now, you got the James Cook contract situation. You got Shakir is hobbling. Bernard and Rapp and Bishop on defense. Yeah, but you got a lot of guys on your defense and some of your depth. And a few of your starters are hobbling right now. That doesn't going into the season. Your people are questioning you. You guys like you and I are questioning whether or not he's the guy to get the job done. And I liken this back to when the Detroit Pistons were right there year after year. And I mentioned a little bit earlier with Rick Carlisle as their head coach. And then he couldn't get them over the hump. So you go out and you get a coach like Larry Brown. Next thing you know, they're winning the championship. So I don't know if there's a better coach that they could go out there and get than Sean McDermott, but maybe sometimes it's not always better. Sometimes it's just different. And Sean McDermott right now, Prophet, is not getting the job done for the Bills.
No, and you think with the players he's got, he would. We're talking about Ed Oliver, Greg Russo. They brought in Joey Bosa this year. They had Von Miller, Daquan Jones. That's a really good front four. Then you talk about guys like Matt Milano, one of the more underrated defensive players in the entire league. Tre'Davious White is coming back. I know they got some questions in the secondary. Why not go pick up a Santi Samuel Jr.? Go get him.
Why is
He's out there waiting for you?
Why is he not signed yet? I'm just, and I don't know if they're going to wait till it gets closer to the season. It can't be a money thing because right now I'm sure Samuel would probably take it's in a Fago if he's just wanting to play. One of the awesome things. Why haven't you? If I remember correctly, they gave Trey Hendrickson permission to seek a trade back in March. This is August now. Right. So I don't know if Buffalo's picked up the phone. It has been made public or whatever, but at least why you're not kicking the tires on him on one end, Greg Russo on the other end. I like Ed Oliver. Now you got a three-headed monster. I mean, come on. There's some things that they can at least attempt to do because right now, in my opinion, other than going out and getting Bosa, you're standing pat. You're going to use Kansas City as the excuse for the next how long? How long are you going to be able to say, well, it's just Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. It's just Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. Sooner or later, you got to go out there and do something. You're wasting Josh Allen. You're wasting one of the best quarterbacks of this generation because you're not going out there making the moves to do what you got to do to get it's like the Tigers with Tarek School. You had opportunities at the trade deadline to go out there to get better, and you go out and you get a 41-year-old Charlie Morton, and you go out and get a Chris Paddock who couldn't throw a strike to you or I, and you're not doing it. Your window is right now. And yes, you're up against Reed and Mahomes, but to me, you're not doing anything to go out there and really be aggressive enough on the free agent market, the trade market, to go out there and show your fans that you're dead serious about being a Super Bowl contender.
Bro, I am with you. A guy like Justin Simmons is on there. Asante Samuel Jr. we talked about. I mean, go get these guys. Even if you don't think they were the player they were yesterday, you need to have bodies out there. You need these people. I don't understand what they're doing. I'm surprised that players like that are still on the waiver wire. Yeah, Buffalo, if they don't want their defense to let them down, they got to make moves and they got to get better schematically. And again, you're right. That falls on Sean McDermott. So, big problem with that, their defense. And you know what? We're going to talk about the Jets, Miami, and the Patriots coming up right now. They got to play them 6 times. Do they have the offenses to be able to contend with them? We know Buffalo's going to score a lot of points, but are they going to get scored on? And sometimes I feel that they have that home field advantage in Buffalo where it's cold and rainy, windy, snowy, whatever it is. And they're more used to playing on that type of turf than other teams are. So they have that home field advantage. But on a neutral field against Kansas City, against Baltimore, maybe even Cincinnati, Philadelphia, I'm not sure how I'd rank them.
Yeah, I agree 100%, man. This is, we always, we kind of try to not to hyperbolize things, but when you're going this long now, what is this, the 7th year for McDermott? 7th or 8th year for McDermott?
At least, yeah.
You've had one of the best quarterbacks of this generation, and you consistently lose. It's not like you're losing to different teams. You're losing to the same team. It's for different reasons. One year it's your offense letting you down. One year it's your defense letting you down. That's the only thing about Buffalo that's consistent is how inconsistent their schemes are on both sides of the football. I don't know, and I don't have the answer. I don't know who's out there as a head coach that you can go get that's probably better, but I do know this. If you're a Buffalo fan, you need to start bringing some signs to the game saying, hey, what are we doing here? What are we doing here with this guy? You're wasting Josh Allen. You're wasting some really good talent. You do have a few really good players on defense, but it's time to get it done, man. It's time to get it done.
Got to win a Super Bowl in Buffalo in Josh Allen's career. You have to do it. I mean, if not then God, I don't know when. It's going to be a long time. He could be their savior, but he needs other players around, and that's how football works. Ultimate team game. Gotta have it. All right, so the Bills we expect to finish in first place. Second place is really up for debate. I don't know. Let me bring up the Jets right now. What do you expect from Justin Fields in this offense with a new coaching regime? Tough guys, everything. He'll be coached a little bit differently. He knows he's a starter. He doesn't have to look over his shoulder. What do you expect out of Justin Fields this season coming up?
There already have been some early reports that he's not doing that great. But you can't always depend on the reports that you hear about training camp and everything. But my whole thing with the Jets is that they have, and kind of like what Caleb Williams has with the Bears, is that you got a built-in excuse. You have an entirely new coaching staff. You have an entirely new offensive scheme. You have an entirely new, you got a new quarterback. You got, so as a whole, I'm saying, not Fields specifically, but you got some built-in excuses there. So where if Aaron Glenn doesn't go in there and win 10 games right away, I don't think the world's going to be fire. I do think, and you alluded to this last week, I think the Jets have to show some improvement. They really do. They have to show some improvement. They have to show some fight. And that's what Aaron Glenn's all about. You got Breece Hall and Wilson and Reynolds and, you got Mason Taylor that you drafted at your tight end position. Your offensive line is pretty good. Your defense with Coward, and I think they still got Quinnen Williams.
Sure.
You got Sherwood and Quincy Williams and Sauce. So you got the makings there of a 8, 9, 10 win team. The question is that it's all going to fall on Justin Fields, how quickly he grasps the offense, how quickly, and how much. To me, the biggest factor is how much confidence the coaching staff has in him to be able to go out there and get the job done. And that, to me, as long as they keep showing confidence and faith in him, I think his confidence will continue to grow and he'll continue to improve. But they got a big hole to climb out of, because I think that division is going to be a little bit more competitive than people think.
I do too. I agree. We got to watch out for the next two teams we're going to talk about in Miami and New England. But before that, I've said this before, if you simply, not that Justin Fields is dumb by any means, I am not saying that, but if you simplify the offense for him, cut the field in half, make easy reads, things like that, just keep the ball moving, your defense is going to do a good job, and you can really run the ball. The effect of Justin Fields taking off with the ball is going to make Breece Hall have a much better season. I'm looking for Breece Hall to go for about 1,100 yards this year. So I'm expecting a big year from him. We'll see how the Jets do overall. Again, they're the freaking Jets, but the only bright line, I guess you can say out of this, if it doesn't work out with Justin Fields, there's a good crop of quarterback coming in next year, and they could take one of them if they're in the top 10. So we'll see.
Carson Beck. Carson Beck.
Oh yeah.
Out of Miami, you got Gunnar Stockton. Out of Georgia, you got Lenore Sellers from South Carolina. The biggest prize of all could potentially be, unless his relatives and uncles and granddad and everybody tells him to stay in, is that guy from Texas. What's his last name?
Oh, what's that? That Manning?
That Manning kid. Yeah. So, but Archie has already gone on record to say that he's probably going to. No, Simon, no. Alex Orji is definitely out of the question. But I think Archie Manning has already kind of come out and alluded to.
What about that kid in LSU, Nussmeier? Is he eligible?
Nussmeier is going to be. I don't know if he's going to be a solid pro. He's not the second coming of Joe Burrow by any chance, but he is probably one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the country going into this season. So it's going to be very interesting. And if Justin Fields isn't the guy, this is probably going to be one of the best quarterback crops we've seen in a few years.
Yeah, we saw a good one a couple of years ago, man. 2 out of the 6 made the playoffs, and the other ones got some new coaches, and we'll see what happens, man. But we got some good young quarterbacks in the NFL, and you got to freaking love that. It's a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing. Love it.
And it's going against everything that everybody saw. You need a veteran quarterback. You need it out. I think the average starting quarterback right now is like, 26, 27 years old. So,
that's right.
The veteran, the 30-year-old guys are kind of getting pushed to the side for these young guys. A lot of it has to do with they're coming in to better situations, even the ones on bad teams. They're coming into better situations, and they're able to perform a la Jaden Daniels. He's probably the
they're
poster
coached
child for
more
that.
pro style in college now than ever before. It's been more of a pro football type of game. And again, these young guys, they're athletic. They're not like the quarterbacks from 20 years ago who just sit in the pocket and that was it. They can move around. They can make plays with their legs. It's a whole different ball game now.
And they don't stop. They play their high school season. They're going to Manning camps. They're going to Air 11s.
Right.
They're going to all these camps. And, down in Florida's got a bevy of football camps. So it's like a year-round thing now. There's no off-season for your top quarterback prospects. And the one to watch this season, if you happen to keep your eye on college football, is Bryce Underwood from Michigan, kid out of Belleville. He's going to be their starter, more than likely, freshman coming in. They paid him $10 million. They got him. They nudged him away from LSU. And so, there's these guys, it's nonstop for them. When you and I were coming up, man, you didn't hear about a quarterback until the season started. Now you hear these guys all year round, man, and it's a different breed now, and that's why a lot of these guys are coming in and a little bit more prepared.
Hey, there you go. That's right, and they are more prepared. And that's why a lot of them, where again, we're talking about 15, 20 years ago and way beyond then, rookie quarterbacks wouldn't even start.
No,
I mean, it would take them a year, maybe two, to even get in the ball game. I mean, Aaron Rodgers sat behind Brett Favre for 3 years, and Love sat behind Aaron Rodgers for 3 years.
Yeah, especially if you got an old school stubborn quarterback or coach. I'm sorry, they're not going. They're going to stay with the hot hand. The only reason Tom Brady got in was because Drew Bledsoe got hurt. Thank you, Mo Lewis.
There you go. I knew you knew the answer. You know what's funny about that, bro? I was going to ask you that as one of our trivia questions, but I'm like, no, he definitely knows that answer. That is way too easy for him. Way too easy. But yeah, that was going to be, Mo Lewis. He's the guy forever. He'll be famous for that. All right.
He's the most famous Patriot ever.
Yeah, no
kidding, even play for the Patriots.
Unbelievable. Brought them a whole dynasty. Unreal. Yep. Amazing stuff. Drew Bledsoe, what was he doing running in the first place? Just go down. Jesus. You have no
if you want to call that a run. I mean, Drew Bledsoe was probably one of the biggest quarterbacks you've ever seen in your life.
Dude,
and he couldn't move. He couldn't move at all, man. But he tried. And
that was the last cement in his freaking shoes. The guy couldn't move anywhere. It was terrible. God. All right, we talked a lot about McDaniel and Tua in concert, in combination. I don't really think Tua's going to get benched. I think he's too good of a player for that to happen. It's just what's going to happen with Miami this year. Can the offense get back to what they were a couple of years ago? Can Tyreek be happy and healthy? Can the defense step it up? They got Minkah Fitzpatrick now. He's going to be their leader on D. Dolphins do have a good team, but the big problem with them has always been health. Are they healthy enough? If they are healthy enough, can they contend for a wild card spot? Maybe not the division.
Probably a wild card spot. Of course, neither one. I don't think you or I predict them winning the division.
No.
And I got Tua as my player to watch in the AFC East for the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins are going to sink or swim, because if not, you got Zach Wilson, I think, backing them up, and then you drafted Quinn Ewers. That's not going to get it done.
No.
The problem is that the team that we're going to talk about next is making up some ground from, they already got one of the best coaches in the division, who I think, probably surpassed Mike McDaniel.
He's probably the best coach in the division. I would agree.
Yeah. I mean, you could legitimately say that. You have your running back with A-Chain and Jalen Wright. You have a decent set of tight ends in Darren Waller, who you brought out of retirement. Julian Hill, you got, your offensive line is pretty good. And then your defense, I know you like Chop Robinson. You got Bradley Chubb, and, bring him back, get Minkah Fitzpatrick, add some, some veteranship and some talent to your secondary. I don't know, Prophet. Miami is like the Arizona Cardinals of the AFC. You just don't know. They have all the potential in the world. They have good players, decent coaching, but you just don't know, man. I don't know. I got the Riddler question mark over my head, man. I don't know what to expect from them. They could be a 12-win team, and they could be a 6-win team.
True. It's true. They really can, and you don't know. And again, a lot of that is contingent upon Tua's health. If he's not healthy, they got problems, man. There's no doubt about it, and that happened last year. He's only played one full season to a Tagovailoa, and that is a problem when you're paying this guy $55 million. So, I mean, come on, who was his backups?
Zach Wilson,
and Quinn Ewers.
Yeah,
right.
So let me ask you this real quick. Prophet. Do you think we talk about hot seats? What do you think about Mike McDaniel? Could that be Cliff Kingsbury's next stop?
Absolutely, definitely, 1,000,000,000% all the way on that. I love it. And bringing in Darren Waller is not going to help the entire situation over there.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. City Juice, how you doing?
What's up, man? What's going on? They do have potential, and they can win a bunch of ball games, but they're going to have to kind of be like the Bengals of the East. They're going to have to score a lot of points because I do think they're going to get scored on a lot. I'm not in love with this defense right now. They don't have a lot of players that stand out and say, oh, wow, I know him. He's a really good player. I mean, yes, I like Chop Robinson. I like Bradley Chubb. I thought he was going to be a better player than what he was.
Yeah,
Jalen Phillips has got healthier. Love Micah Fitzpatrick, but other than that, I mean, really, there's not a lot of great guys on defense over there, so I can't be that high on Miami right now.
No, I agree, and Miami's going to be another one of those, by the time week 7 or 8 get there, they're going to be like, oh, my God, the sky is falling. They got Indy, New England, Buffalo, the Jets. So they got 2 division games right off the bat. They got Carolina, the Chargers, Cleveland, Atlanta, Baltimore, Buffalo, Washington, New Orleans, the Jets again, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Tampa Bay, New England. So they don't have a murderer's row. They got a very average schedule. Yeah. And this is going to be, I don't know if Tua, let's play devil's advocate real quick, Prophet. What if Tua does stay healthy? And they still underperform? Does that mean the end of Mike McDaniel in Miami?
Probably. I mean, if they don't make the playoffs, they would have to win a minimum of 10 games in order for McDaniel to really stay. Because
you think that's enough? Even if they don't make the play, if Tua stays healthy all year, Tyreek and Waddle stay healthy all year, and they win 10 games and they don't make the playoffs, I for some reason, my heart of hearts tells me that we won't see him. He could probably swap places with Kingsbury, be the offensive coordinator in Washington.
Yeah, right.
And Kingsbury comes down to Miami.
Maybe that's more suited for him because he's clearly not coaching the defense. That's the problem.
Who's their DC down there?
You know what? I got to look that up. Who the DC coordinator is? I'm not sure off the top.
Chad, if anybody knows who's Miami Dolphins DC, I don't know who their defensive coordinator is.
Yeah, I don't know why I don't know this off the top of my head. Usually I'm pretty good with this stuff, but I actually don't know who it is. Yeah. Hold on, let me find out over here. It's Anthony Weaver. He's kind of new.
Yeah.
He took over Vic Fangio, and Fangio's now is in Philadelphia. So we'll see how he does. I mean, it's not like he's brand new to the NFL. The guy's been around for a little bit. I'm trying to learn a little bit more on him as we go over here. Not that we're talking about the Anthony Weaver show over here, but he's a new defensive coordinator for the Miami Dolphins. We'll see how he does.
The who's who of who's that, as we like to say.
Really, who that?
Actually, that's a trademark phrase you can't use while Ricky Bobby. The express written contract. Express written, yeah. But,
well, you alluded to the last team that we were going to talk about over here in this AFC East division as we broke down the NFC East with Courtney Harden. Here to tackle the AFC East has been myself and, of course, Mr. Primetime 313 as we go now to the Patriots. And our boy, apparently, Mike Vrabel, got bloodied up breaking up a fight the other day. That's
he did. Yes.
Unbelievable.
That guy is tough as nails, man. You got to love that.
He could still play probably. That is one guy I would not want to fight. All right, I'll tell you that right now. I would not want to
I've always been a Mike Vrabel fan, even when he played. Not the most athletic guy, blah, 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 blah. But he's a guy that kind of reminds me of Dan Campbell a little bit. Minus he's not as vocal, but Mike Vrabel is just an awesome dude. You listen to him on interviews and stuff. He's smarter than a lot of people. A lot of people give him credit for.
Right.
Jumping into scrums, that might not be very smart. But, he's jumping in, he's getting all bloodied up and stuff and, walks it off like, how you doing?
No big deal.
This is what I do. Come on.
Give me a napkin.
Right. Right. Not even a towel. Give me a napkin. One ply.
I'll rub a little dirt in it. Everything will be fine. Vrabel. Well,
awesome.
He's got his work cut out for him, but they do have good players. Bringing in a guy like Stephon Diggs, not really healthy right now, but expected to go. Drake May, everybody's expecting to take a big step forward because the second half of last year, he did a really good job. But Vrabel, Patriots, true contenders in the AFC East or even for a wild card. What do you think?
You know what? For all the love that I just gave Vrabel, they're I'm looking at their schedule right now, and it's not the most difficult. You know, they open with Vegas, Miami, and Pitt, Carolina, Buffalo, New Orleans, Tennessee, Cleveland, Atlanta, Tampa Bay, New York, Jets, Cincinnati, Giants, Buffalo, Baltimore, New York, Miami. So I could see them winning. What was the Vegas 9.5, 8.5 on them? I asked you just freaking every week with them. 8.5. I can see them going. I can see them getting the over simply because I think that they could have the potential to beat the Dolphins twice. I think they have the potential to beat the Jets twice, and I think they could split just because of coaching. I think they could split with Buffalo. So there's at least 4 wins in that division. There's at least 4 wins in that division.
Okay.
So I look at their defense. You know, their defense is pretty good. There's a lot of guys, kind of like what you mentioned with the Dolphins. There's not a lot of guys names that are going to jump out at you unless you got Carlton Davis, I think, is there.
Yeah, they picked up Milton Williams.
Milton Williams.
They got Christian Barmore.
Christian Gonzalez.
Player.
Jabril Peppers.
I like in the secondary. Christian Gonzalez, no doubt. You nailed it right there. He's one of the better cornerbacks.
But the problem with New England is this. I think the same problem with Miami Prophet, and I think it's the depth. Once you get past Stephon Diggs and who's the Demario
Douglas, yeah.
And there's not, you don't really have a lot of depth after your top guys.
Von Baker, Keyshawn Booty. I mean, these guys you don't know.
Jalen Polk. I mean, these guys aren't, household names by any stretch of the imagination. So as long as they can stay healthy, because Drake May, your backup quarterback is, I believe, Joshua Dobbs. So, that's another place Jameis Winston could possibly end up. And Ben Woolridge, I don't even know who the hell that is. So they're if they can stay healthy, I think they can win 10 games. But it's all contingent on them staying healthy. The defense doesn't have to have superstars in order for them to be good. I think they just got to stay healthy, because behind the list of starters that we don't know is a bunch of guys behind them that we really don't know. So, I could realistically see them winning 10 games, being second place in that division and getting a wild card.
Yeah, but that's where coaching comes in, and that's where Vrabel is a guy who can turn this team around, much like Jim Harbaugh is trying to do with the Chargers over there. There are certain coaches who just come in, demand that respect. The players know them, they love them, they'll run through a brick wall for them type of thing. And Vrabel proven that, going in there, bare-faced, everything, getting all bloodied up, getting in there, but unbelievable stuff. So I'm looking forward to what he can do in his second act. He's back home where he played his football, catching touchdowns as a linebacker, Vrabel, in Super Bowls and everything like that. So, congratulations to him. And I see a lot of good things coming for the Patriots. I just don't know if they're ready for the playoffs, because we're going to talk about all the other teams, but you feel like you fill in Buffalo is 1. Baltimore is 2. Houston will probably win the division, so that's 3. Then you got Kansas City, probably 4. I like the Chargers. Some like Denver. We're already at 7, okay? Some people maybe are going to make an argument for Jacksonville this year. Maybe they take a step up. I don't know. Can Pittsburgh sneak in? Cincinnati?
I was going to say, you haven't even mentioned the Bengals yet. And it's the AFC, I mean...
stacked.
But exactly, it's exactly what you just said, because the same questions that you had for Buffalo, is their defense going to let them down?
Yeah.
Cincinnati wasted historically one of the best quarterback seasons we've ever seen in the history of the NFL.
Totally.
Are they going to do that? Are they just going to be better just by default, just because? Or could they potentially repeat being that bad a defense and it cost them a playoff spot 2 years in a row?
God, you hope not. That's why you brought in Al Golden and got rid of Lou Anarumo, even though I think Lou Anarumo was a very good defensive coordinator. They just don't have the players on defense. They haven't drafted well. They haven't made trades, going to free agency. That's one of their biggest problems. But maybe a different system put in. They throw in a cover 2 shell. Maybe they do man blitzes. Maybe they blitz 55, 60% of the time. Maybe that's just something to get the defense going, give them more confidence. And if that happens, watch out, because they can put up 40 points on anybody. And if their defense is playing halfway decent, we're talking about a team that can win 13, 14 games, no problem.
Here's one stat for you, though. Since Joe Burrow's coming into the league, he's 1-9 in his first 3 games in his first. Yeah, so that's not. They get off to those notoriously slow starts. As City Juice says, will the Cleveland Browns be in the mix? Well, we'll break that down on our AFC North preview. But
let me give you guys that breakdown, actually, what's coming up, since where is that damn breakdown that I have over here? Okay, so next week.
But yeah, Shador, speaking of Cleveland, I mean, while you're looking for your stuff there, Shador's starting. So I find it ironic that everybody talked all the crap about him. Coaching staff wasn't high on him. He's not ready. He's not this. He's not that. And then all of a sudden, he's starting their first preseason game ahead of all their other quarterbacks. So there's something there. I'm rooting for him. There's something there. I wouldn't be surprised. Would not be surprised if he's their starter opening day.
He might be. He might be. And you know what? If he plays good football, albeit against second, third, and fourth string players, I get it.
But he's second, third, fourth string. So
right. Give him that confidence. Let him have it, man. Well, we did NFC, AFC East today. Next week, same time, same channel, NFC South and AFC South. We'll have Damian Adams on to break down the NFC South. He is a New Orleans Saints fan. And the AFC South will have Mike Patton. He covers the Tennessee Titans, but he's got a show called Touring the AFC South. Damian also has his own show, Get the Real Deal with Damian Adams. Yep. Great guys. Do a fantasy league with them also with Courtney. We'll do the NFC and AFC West on the 21st. We'll have Abe Reynolds will join us, I think. And we might have McNiner in here, as a matter of fact, as well. So McNiner and Abe Reynolds. And then we will close it out on the 28th with the NFC and AFC North. Before we switch our schedule, everybody, to Tuesdays. When the season starts, we're going to Tuesdays at 7 o'clock. We're moving it back an hour, because we want to make sure we get all the info in. We have a feeling that the podcast probably going to go like $1:30, like today.
Yep.
We go a little bit longer. We got a lot to talk about, and we want to talk about it. And we want to hear from you guys. Everybody, we love you out there. City Juice popping in toward the end. Simon, of course, no doubt. Think about that fantasy football. We got McNiner and Steve-O and Papa J and Damian and just everybody, man. Thank you guys so much. You guys are what make the show goes. Really.
Absolutely, fellas. We appreciate you guys chiming in, man. As always.
All right. We're going to do it again next week. So get ready, guys. NFL football, 4 weeks away. We're almost there.
Yeah, baby.
All right. We'll see y'all next week, baby. Peace.
Peace.